these are the plaintiffs. 2014's The Guest and 2018's Upgrade. And as always, the internet's favorite judge, Josh Lee, presiding on another edition of Horror or Not. Court is in session.
On this edition of Horror or Not, we'll be looking at Upgrade and The Guest, which both Upgrade and The Guest were created by, people that up to that point were basically only doing horror stuff, in Lee Winnell and Simon Barrett and Adam Wingard for The Guest. And so it seemed that to marketing people and studio people that these movies should be sold as horror films. Perhaps just because, the creators were so involved in horror filmmaking. I mean, it seems kind of stupid to me. And more or less the reason being because neither The Guest or Upgrade are horror films. I mean, Upgrade, to me anyway, it's pretty easy to tell that it's a science fiction action film. I've heard people try to say that it has like body horror. That's incorrect. And I would say that The Guest is also science fiction action. It's kind of funny because they are kind of similar. At least the protagonists are similar. I guess Dan Stevens is not a protagonist, but the characters are somewhat similar in. They're not Terminators, but they kind of are. And in fact, I remember being somewhat disappointed at the end of The Guest when it was revealed that Dan Stevens, in fact, was not a robot. Anyway, so just because they were created by these, horror people, they're not horror movies. And they were sold that way. And I don't know that Lee Winnell or Simon Barrett will ever be able to get away from being these horror guys. That's fine with me. They might not like it, but that's how both Upgrade and The Guest were sold. But I'm here to tell you that neither one of them are horror movies. So that concludes this week's edition of Horror or Not.
Thank you for listening, and join Josh next time as he talks about a Del Toro special. I won't give away the movies yet, but that's your hint.
Bloodhound Pix podcast is produced by Josh Lee, Craig Dram, and Kyle Hintz. Music by Raymond Seed. Audio editing by Kyle Hintz.